I know. Okay. Hello, we're here to call to order the MWPA Community Oversight Committee meeting of Wednesday, December 4th, 2024. Let's begin with a call to order and then a roll call.
Certainly, starting with our Vice Chair Jenny Biggs is not present for today's meeting. Larry Chu.
Here.
Kingston Cole.
Here.
Jennifer Howard will not be present with us today. Chair McCauley
Is here.
Larry Minikis is not here at the moment. Larry Minikis is walking in at the moment. Pat Randolph.
Say here, Larry.
Here.
Yeah.
Spencer Sias will not be joining us. Rebecca Suggs. Here. And just to account for the minutes, Larry Minikis has arrived and is present.
And living colors, yes.
3:01, so we consider that on time. Okay, are there any agenda adjustments proposed?
Wait.
Yes.
I would like to propose that we swap 7 and 8.
Okay. Reason being?
I am going to have to leave early, and I think that 7 is more self-evident than
Cool.
8 is.
Any objection to that?
No.
Okay, everyone in favor of making that agenda change, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and you don't have to do a roll call because we're all here. Okay, good. Next up, open time for public expression. Are there members of the public here?
We do have a member of the public and there are no hands at this time.
Okay, but I have to give a little spiel. So the public is welcome to address the citizens, Community Oversight Committee. At this time, on matters not on the agenda that are within the jurisdiction of the committee, please be advised that pursuant to Government Code, Section 54954.2, the committee is not permitted to discuss or take action on any matters not on the agenda. Comments may be no longer than 2 minutes and should be respectful to the community and silence your phones, etc. So that's been offered and there's no one taking up on it. So next item is number 5, the executive officers or report.
Good afternoon and happy holidays to our combined November and December meeting, including a solo on the cello.
Yeah.
Hey, we the solo.
That's what we thought we were getting today. It's on the agenda.
So we
I'm
just
sorry.
want to report for the minutes that Jennifer Howard has arrived for today's meeting.
As you guys know, we've gotten a ton of rain. If we were in the days of saying fire season is over, we would say that we had a season-ending event and fire season is over. So, but we still know that we need to maintain vigilance through the winter season because it's a great time to start doing some of your defensible space work around your house. It's also a great time for us to do some of our veg management, especially when it comes to broom pulling. Once the soils become moist, but not too moist, and we find that balance, that's the perfect time for us to start pulling broom. So the work continues. As you guys may have seen, we went through our finance committee and into the board of directors and closed out fiscal year 23-24 and made some rollovers from into 24-25 to update the budget in 24-25. One thing I'm really happy about is that now that we understand our spending rate per year of our admin budget, instead of rolling over all of our admin budget from admin to admin, this year we rolled 174,000 from admin 23-24 to operations of 24-25. So with the whole theme that we wanted to be light and we wanted to put more money towards projects, we were able to do that and move finance or admin money into operations money. 174,000 isn't a small amount. So I'm very pleased with that. And then a shout out for the chew table. We included the chew table in our close of year finance reporting. It's also going to be in our annual report as well. So I say it because, and we're doing that because it's an important table. You know, it's one of the stipulations in the JPA is how we are doing with that 80%. And if you watch the meeting, you'll see that 4 out of our 5 zones have met that 80% threshold of revenue that's been generated in that zone, spent in that zone. And the one zone that hasn't hit 80 is at 79%. So we are tracking, and it was by 5 years we needed to hit that 80% mark. So I'm very pleased about that. And then tomorrow is our first advisory technical committee meeting to start our work plan development for 25-26. So it just feels like we finished that up, but it's time to turn around and start the process for 25-26. And pursuant to the changes in the JPA, it's no longer a public meeting, so it's going to be a non-public meeting. It's not bound by the Brown Act, and one of the purposes of that is to increase collaboration amongst the member agencies and not worry about creating, if they meet off-site, to create serial Brown Act meetings. And it also means that we can open up the portal to the public from day one. And so Ann Krelock is already working with our web developers to make sure that the work plan development portal will be open for visibility from day one. And we also think that—
Is it visibility or comments? Are there any comments or as it comes up?
the comments could be made to the operations committee, which is a public meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we feel this is going to be a benefit for is the precious time of our ATC members, because we would have to have numerous subcommittees so that we wouldn't violate the Brown Act and have them come to the, and so some of these members were getting 2 or 3 or 4 extra meetings a month. And so what we're trying to do is bring it all into one meeting. And and Rebecca pointed this out, the ATC meeting and the operations committee meeting were almost identical, and they were essential report outs, right? And I really didn't think we were honoring the skill set of the ATC, bringing the ATC into a room and letting them really roll up their sleeves and build quality projects. I think that's going to honor their time better than we have been. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that process is going. What we are also doing is so that, you know, there was concern that taking the ATC out of the JPA language could decrease the importance of the ATC and also have it get phased out somehow. So we have taken the JPA language and we're putting it into a standard operating procedure document for Marin Wildfire that outlines the creation and the role of the ATC. So we have it memorialized so it doesn't just fade away. And then, like you guys, with the change in JPA language, it's necessitating a change to bylaws, and so tomorrow we'll start working on the bylaws.
Mark, is it possible still for the COC to attend an ATC meeting? Or because it's not public, we're considered public and we
Correct.
can't go?
Correct.
What I was thinking is how to check to see if the reason we brought it up about being almost the same, is it gonna change how that meeting is going forward? But I guess it's none of our business anyway, so it probably doesn't matter.
Well, and I think you give a shot at seeing how the report, because the ATC will continue to bring a report out to the ops committee. And so let's see how that report out happens, and also how you guys see with being able to see the work plan portal, see how that feels.
Good, thanks.
So are we now officially a community oversight committee?
Correct.
That's our official title.
That is your correct
Okay.
official title.
And was our final report filed and accepted at this point?
Yes, it was.
And I didn't see anything about it in the IJ. Was there any interest in it from anybody? I mean,
God, we don't
First
want
page
to.
above the fold.
No,
Yeah.
The fight was on the last page.
Yeah.
Kid yourself.
I was just glad that photo of what
the goats.
goat was in that one.
Always gets it, the goats always get it.
And we're working on getting to see the CSC report up on the website.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is consent calendar. There's an opportunity for the public comment on consent agenda items will occur prior to the committee's discussion. of the consent agenda. The committee may approve the entire consent agenda in one action, and the alternative items on the consent agenda may be removed by any committee member or staff member for separate discussion and a vote. So first element, was there any comment from the public?
There are no hands at this time,
Okay.
sir.
Second comment, we only have one item on the agenda. Is there any concern about that agenda item, or can we move to pass it?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Are we gonna discuss?
Well, that's my question. Are there any
Oh,
points for
So
discussion?
sorry.
I would vote to approve that they're factually accurate.
Okay, so do we,
And Mark and I have talked about perhaps having a different kind of minutes in the future, because the meeting is recorded. So we have this 2-hour-long
sure.
minutes,
Right.
so that to save Tony time in looking at this and writing up all those minutes, I thought it would be a good idea to have what I have referred to before as action
Action
minutes,
items, right.
just to have, you know, like from these current minutes, an action item would be to move the defensible space report from the appendix to the regular part of the report, or you had something, so I'm just wondering what people think about that.
And so we're good, we have in this thing, we discuss this later, there is a section on minutes and meetings, so we could bring it up then and decide
Okay.
whether we want to amend our minutes, or amended approach.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay,
Is that all right?
that
Yeah,
makes
yes.
sense.
Okay, so while we defer that particular part of the conversation, is there any opposition to accepting the minutes as proposed? Do we all want to?
We need a second.
Second.
Okay, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, cool. Okay, next item, as we reverse the order, is review the annual report committee updates, and we're going to start with local.
So local says, we got the pile of individual reports for the projects, thank you very much, Mark, and went through those. We have picked the 5 that we're gonna take a little bit deeper dive looking at. We're gonna follow the same format as we used last year for the local report. I don't foresee any big issues coming up. We've already taken a look at comparing the work plan that was published to the end of year spreadsheets that we got. No big red flags, no gotchas, little questions here and there. We'll see if it comes out in the 5 that we pick. Any questions?
So we had a fair number of comments in our last review. Are you assessing to make sure that they're all been corrected as you go through the process for this cycle?
Thank you for the heads up. I'll go back and look at those comments.
Yeah, there were a bunch of them. We had.
I'll go back and make
Yeah.
sure that we are taking
You had
those into account.
5
Thanks.
recommendations or something like that.
Right, right. Cool. And any ETA in terms of, I'm really excited about when we think we can get this year's report out. So any sense for how quickly we could see a work product?
I would say I can't see anything taking a big amount of time to do. So I'd say next month.
And remember, we just to refresh our memories on the meeting schedule. We're here we are, this is our November/December meeting, the first week of December. And you guys won't be meeting until the fourth Wednesday of January. So that's quite a bit of time too, so.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
point.
I don't see any problem with having it ready for then.
For a first draft for us all to look at.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's exciting. Cool, great. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Seeing none, we move on to D space. You want to do it?
we met with Mark, and Mark kindly typed up some notes for us, which have been very, very helpful. I had some minor questions, but I think we I can just talk to you offline to get answers to most of these because they're just simple. I don't understand what dynamic risk score is or things like that. And I think that we can be ready
Yeah,
by the
still, I
time we
feel,
meet in
I
January.
agree. I mean, Jenny's was gonna get us a minute. She hasn't been not able to get, we haven't been able to meet with her yet. I think we meet, and we're probably gonna have at least one more meeting, which includes Elisa, to kind of get into the financial side of the house a little bit, but I would suspect that by, fourth week of January, we should also have something that we can share with everybody. And collectively, in the big picture, nothing is left out at us, which makes sense. Each year, we should be getting better and better, right? So.
The only things that have left out at me are good things.
Right.
That I think it was San Rafael that wrote about reviewing businesses and apartments, and you sort of forget schools. That was another thing that they mentioned, and we certainly should be seeing that schools are have defensible space appropriate. So I thought that was really a good thing that I hadn't even thought about.
Well, there's actually a new assembly bill that was approved and signed by the governor that mandates that schools in high fire and very high fire dangerous zones be turned into shelter-in-place locations that require an annual inspection. Assemblymember Connell is the one that authored that, and I testified to the Senate on that, the Senate committee that was hearing that. So he did a great job with that piece of, and it's got passed.
It's kind of good because it's kind of a Rome Vatican thing also.
Yeah.
A school district within a city, the city's general plan components and all their building rules and all that stuff generally don't apply to school districts. They're like the Vatican.
Mhm.
So that's good that they're aligned, if you will.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Of course.
Are you following the same sort of format that you used when you guys did the local and also what we were doing, I guess last year? Are you gonna drill down on 5?
Well, no, because there's only 3.
Okay.
So.
I forgot.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
exactly.
gotta get the hit.
Yeah, so we're hitting all 3 of them basically,
hitting
because
all
it's
3.
3 big groups. Yeah.
Okay. And following the same attestation review that we did,
Mhm.
is there anything else that you're doing that's of interest?
No, I mean, the key thing is to know where our lines are, right? So, we're not second guessing elements as long as they're inside the four corners of the mission. No, so we're just, we're interested in leakage. That's one of the things I was like a focus on. In other words, if someone's charging 100% of their time to, D-space, are they really putting 100% of their time there, or is it going somewhere else? That's something we also focused a lot on local. So, those kinds of matters, and whether there's a good record, just to make sure that there's adequate focus on the due diligence associated with giving the money to, it's not a pass-through.
Right.
So,
Cool.
I have tangential. I noticed when I was reviewing the spreadsheets against the project list, there were a couple of projects that had switched from being local to being core. The number went from being an L to a C.
Can you bring those to my attention? I'll
I
track
will,
that.
that was my
I'd like to know
question,
about
should
that.
we?
Yeah.
And I also, some of these are worded as if they should be D-space and yet they're local. Is that do we care?
If they the idea behind the local funding is for them to do any type of wildfire mitigation, and if they choose to use some of the local money that's towards D-space type work, it's still wildfire mitigation, so they can.
Great.
but if they don't spend all their D-space funds, that's gonna create a problem, right?
Well, Nevada would be a good example. They are using all their local money for home hardening and defensible space grants. So that you could see a legitimate reason to underspend and de-space, and then use all of the local funding for those grants. So I think there's a legitimate balance there.
But collectively, you have to hit 40%, right? So in other words, if you collectively only hit 30% by the time you get to the end, then what happens?
They would have to show that they are sequestering that 10%, remaining 10% for that.
Purpose in the out years, assuming they're,
Correct.
we don't renew, which hopefully will not be the situation.
Correct.
Hopefully we renew. Okay, correct. Other questions? Okay, moving on to
Core, where to begin? I have to express a certain frustration. First of all, I had hip surgery just recently and been recovering from that. But I have been trying to reach out to Spencer, God bless him, for forever, right? And not getting any response. Just not, I'm phone messages, emails, whatever. And I got, today we received something I respect him to, do. It's a little surprising to me. We split initially in August. We got, after our first meeting, we split everything up. There were 29 projects at core. And we split them up 1/3. Larry's got his, and we know the two of us will coordinate after this meeting, but we really have been waiting to get Spencer, who really had a whole bunch of questions for you and initially in his mind, to get together with you, and go through the spreadsheet which you sent to us. And now I'm short 10 projects is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Right now, and he's leaving, and he won't be at the next meeting, will he?
No.
You better get stuff done. But the two of us will work out as best we can, but I may have to just come back to you and you, all right, to figure something out.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not seeing any red flags in my 10 projects or 9 projects. Nothing controversial. I mean, no demonstration gardens. Anyway.
Wait a
moving-
minute, I'll review the other 10, let's see if there's some.
All those pictures, anyway, moving right along. So let me talk with you guys, both of you offline,
Yes.
maybe after the meeting, and you and I have to have a meeting.
And I do owe you an updated spreadsheet. I've just been holding off and sending it to you because I don't want to send you multiple updated spreadsheets. And I'm talking about 2% of changes of what we
Okay,
currently
well, I'll
have.
just, I get there on my stuff. We'll have to figure out what to do with Spencer's,
Yeah,
What that done?
what we don't have from the central zone is Central Marin Fire. Don't have logs to report there.
Okay, I'll get that for you.
And I think we're missing Fairfax.
Fairfax is my last remaining agency.
Yes, so,
Yeah, mine fine on mine.
They've been too busy fighting.
right, and then basically every other city was just inspections. I mean, there were no real projects. So I don't know how we wanna, evaluate those. I mean, go back to their people who did the work and say, how many did you do? But that should have been reported to you.
Well, we're talking core here.
Yeah,
So the spreadsheet I sent you has core, local, and
Everything on it.
core, local, and D-space. So you'll just want to focus on the items that have a C in the project code.
The one, in the 10 that you picked off that list, I sent out, remember?
I mean, I know what cities I have.
What?
I know what cities I have,
Oh, right.
yeah, but I might not have been looking at the codes.
Okay. So since,
I can connect with you.
Yeah, that's no problem.
And if need be, the rest of us can chip in to help out to get us across the finish line.
someone's got,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not a
right.
big deal if I go past December on this and we don't have a person in place.
yeah.
You know,
Those days might not show up in your paycheck.
Okay, is that it for core? So I think we finished item 8, now we move on to item 7, which is the,
We
bylaws.
didn't do local, did we?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Local
How
first.
did I forget local? What did you say?
Who's having a senior moment?
I said it was all really good.
it's
Okay.
really good, yeah, basically.
Not to
Super
worry.
happy, we'll be ready in January.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good,
So-
I'm
so-
glad to hear that.
yeah, so it sounds like bottom line is we'll see how things go, but there should be some good meat on the bone for January to look at.
Yes,
right? Which is ideal, because we would have just been getting started last January, right? So, okay, that's great. All right, so next step is the bylaws, which first have to be changed because of the word community.
Yes, I was gonna say that, but it's the first thing, yeah.
And just so we can track easier, I'll have it on the screen share as well. And then I'll take notes here of what the recommended changes are. And if you guys will remember that you actually have two guiding documents. You have the Citizens Oversight or Community Oversight, COC.
Yeah, it's a COC. I like that, I like that.
That's what I've been doing.
The COC bylaws, but we also have the policies and procedures document. So my suggestion is that we work on the bylaws today, and your next regular meeting, we pull up the policies and procedures. So,
And I would also recommend that we don't get into wordsmithing, that a couple of us could take on the, if we have to
After the
do,
fact, yeah.
if we have to do wordsmithing, that today we could just talk about the things that need to be changed.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, why don't we outline what we think needs to be changed?
Good.
so the first one we caught already, wherever it says citizens, we will change to community. And then one thing that, from the Marin Wildfire perspective, as you guys know, we're trying to forget using the acronym because it just doesn't stick and it doesn't identify with anybody. So wherever it says MWPA, we'll put Marin Wildfire.
Okay.
Okay, purpose okay?
Purpose is fine with me.
So under organization, we now have a high school kid, right? So
Right.
we need to add the high school kid, student.
And what I recommend here is, if I remember right, this section right here was literally cut and pasted from the JPA language.
Uh-huh.
So we'll just take the current JPA language and cut and paste it right into here.
Can I ask a question? It may be too late for this, but did we consider the possibility of making a position available to a high school student or a community college student?
Did
I
we say high school?
suggested adding private schools as well as public, but no, we didn't talk about
We just
that.
did, and we are reaching out to both private and public, but we only did high school.
Do you think that that's good, or would you consider, I'm asking everybody, I just, sometimes when students get to the community college, they're a little bit, they might be.
Have to go back to all those
May I
agencies.
make a suggestion as we go forward with this, that the student and the educators understand what this committee does. They may think it's doing one thing and coming in here thinking we're gonna be on fire and all this other, and they need to know what this committee, because it may interest more of a finance-oriented person rather than an environmental person. Because we don't want to get a student here who's just bored because they thought it was something else. So it's really important for them to understand what we do before they start.
But to Jennifer's question, it would be really hard to add the community. We'd have to go through the whole JPA.
Well,
language.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
In all fairness, since I started most of this, the reason why we put in high school
Yeah.
with TAM COC was because of to try and get them educated about all the transportation issues out there. So eventually they would probably want to get a job, one of the agencies.
I see.
Basically a training program
I see.
in many ways, all right?
And I assume this is a non-voting.
Correct.
Which
It's written as a non-voting.
Right.
One-year term, non-voting.
Right.
Do you want them to do work?
I think so.
Okay, because we have a lot more work than a lot of COCs. So I know that there are other things that
Yeah.
I've served on where they come in and go to meetings, but because they're in school, they don't have the time to do these extra projects.
Yeah, it's all PowerPoints, just listen to it,
I mean, you just lay out that expectation when you get somebody that, we actually have month-to-month work to do.
Well, I would guess that Mark has already done the reaching out, so.
Well, we're gonna
Yeah.
mentor this
Yeah.
kid,
Mhm.
that's the idea, all right?
Yeah.
Are we getting interest?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
I know I'm on the board of Marin Coalition, and at a recent talk, there was a table of like 4 high school kids, and two of their teachers had brought them to this meeting to.
Sure.
So there's interest out there in what's going on in the world.
Mark, on this page, are we gonna change that January 1st, 2021 line, or leave it as is?
I think we need to keep that in there. Well, maybe,
You can delete it.
What page are we?
Because it's a
looking at?
bylaw,
It's
so is it necessary to be, I'm just asking.
now that we already
Article
established the
3.2.
stagger of the terms,
Yeah, I mean, that whole section can be deleted.
Or just say, as of, each term shall commences of January 1st.
Yeah.
Each new term.
so basically delete,
Delete all the way up to the thing where it says shorter term on the fourth line.
Yeah, we're not a short story.
And then you just say that the initial terms commences on January 1 and ends on December 31st.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
everything else stays the same.
Well, yeah,
so we basically remove the staggering,
Yes.
when they started in the staggering.
Yeah.
We're staggered.
And include, in the case of a replacement member, the term shall be blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so I'll repeat that now that you have it on screen.
Yes.
Delete everything up to the fourth line where it says shorter term.
Wait a second, I'm out at the end of next year. We still have one more set of people that will have
Yeah, but
essentially
nobody's got a
6-year
staggered,
term.
nobody's got a staggered term.
No, we're all, we've exhausted, we've gotten, all the people who started with a 3-year are in their second term.
Right, okay, that's right.
I mean, that could have
we
been
don't need
taken
to
out
stagger
after,
it.
that could have been taken out after the first year.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Right,
the highlighted
yeah,
is what
yeah,
we can
delete
delete
that.
right here.
And then what you
Yeah.
do is you move the second sentence after that, which is commencing January 1st, and you move it before the sentence where it says ending December
Yeah.
31st.
Yeah.
And the rest can stay the same.
There you go.
And then take out the 2021, you don't really need to put a year
Right.
in there.
That's what I was wondering.
Okay, we ready to move on to members' responsibilities?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think you can combine.
And I recall we had to pull out the part that if you don't show up for so many meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That, that's really the board, not
Yeah, we
the
can't vote
committee.
someone
We
off
can't
the
vote
others.
someone off. You
Well,
know, but I just wanna point out that I think Spencer has been the least showing up, and it kind of hurts you, and how do we deal, I mean, practically speaking, and it's not about the person, but it's about individuals, about the position, because there's only 9 of us, and so one of us doesn't show up regularly, it actually, like, it's affecting you.
well, I think that what we do is we let a board member know.
Well, it's probably Mark's job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think the chair handles it.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
chair, sure. I'm glad to. Whoever the chair is at the time,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
or the chair or
That's-
Mark. Or the chair and Mark.
Or,
So-
I mean, if we want to say you missed 3 meetings in a row and you're gone, I suppose we could do that, but.
Yeah,
So remember
Which
that.
nu- which number are we working on?
So the other document was the one that had all that detail
Yeah,
on it.
'cause I don't see that
That's
in
the
this.
document.
That's right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we have to pull
We
that
don't
out,
really do
we had it.
But there is,
It's a
I just
common
reviewed the
contract.
other document also, there's the other document which we'll look at the next meeting has, will take a fair amount of work. to get-
Yeah, there's something in there about.
There's a bunch of stuff in there that I don't think
Yeah.
is, but we'll look at that next meeting, but at least for
Yeah.
what's in front of us in this
And
meeting.
number 7?
Number 8.
Well,
Too
I
late for
think
me.
6 and 7 can be combined because they essentially say the same thing except for the purpose of it, so.
And I think we removed the requirement to actually attend. Because if we can't attend, we can watch the meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also.
Observe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then,
right, and also the address thing, we're not supposed to be speaking.
right, so that whole thing.
The other document's the one that's got all that extra gobbledygook in it. I just read it today, so I just remembered because I looked at it. and said, "Oh."
We'll put an observer instead of 10.
yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
and probably
Observe.
the same for number 7 on monitor.
Yeah.
Because really-
Well, we've gotta pull out at least the ATC on number 7.
yeah,
We're
delete
gonna pull out
ATC.
ATC, right, okay, all right.
Yeah,
And my thought, thinking out loud for you guys, if we change number 6 to observe, and we put public meetings, and deliberations in item 6, we could remove 7.
Yeah.
well, all
Right.
you'd have,
There you
the
go.
only reason for 7 is it has a different purpose, it says.
Right.
For to
We're
assess
still saying the same
transparency.
thing.
And I could put that,
So if you just put that with the other,
Yeah.
then it works to
That's
just
not gonna
take them out.
And to assess it, just finish, yeah.
So Kingston, remind me, because we did talk about transparency once before, now that we're gonna maybe remove that.
Yeah, we, We
past, was transparency something that was in our guidelines that they gave us, or is that something we decided to work on?
something we decided to work on.
Okay,
Sounds to
was-
me like it was an initial concern.
It was in the initial concern for MWPA as a whole,
Right.
that it was going to be transparent, which wasn't the case for every other organization like this before,
Right.
that it was concerned with it. So initially, it was even on the website, in the writing, it said transparency big. I don't think that's there anymore,
so that's what I'm getting at, I
but
mean,
that's what we did it for, was because everybody was gonna be more transparent in the whole organization.
so if we're all following the Brown Act throughout the organization, do we even need to address, because we were talking about taking that half away. So would we need to not deal with the word transparency on 7 and just get rid of 7 entirely and just scrunch it all together with 6?
The thing that I think is sort of silly is the assessment of transparency, that we are participating in a transparent organization is a positive thing, but we're not really assessing it.
We're not about, yeah, I think if you just punch the word, assess transparency at the end of 6.
Yeah.
You'll be just fine. We need, it's expressing a value, all right, that we think is important. We know we're not evaluating those, it's just something we want to remind ourselves and the public about what we're doing all the time.
Maybe
Maybe it's not about bylaws, maybe it's about policy or process.
I'm not gonna follow a story about this, I mean, I think that this is a mature organization that already has
I agree with that.
long-standing processes in place which cover those things. It's like going to a city council that's been around for 25 years and saying, are you transparent? Well, I mean.
Well, no, are you following your mission statement? Are you
Yeah.
following your goals and objectives? You don't ask that, but it's there, you need to have it there just as a statement of fact, or a statement of aspiration anyway. That's all I'm saying.
So what would you like it to say?
I would just take it to assessment and assess transparency and put it at the end of 6.
How about support transparency?
Yeah, I like that.
Fine.
Is that all right? Support instead of, because we're not grading it, we're just supporting it.
Right, that's fine.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay, got it. All right, and then in 8, we're,
8 can just be
Eight
eliminated.
should be deleted.
It can be
Right.
deleted.
Right.
We're not,
We
we're
don't
not
do
doing
that.
that.
we don't do
We're not doing
that.
We wanted to do that
Yes.
originally, apparently.
yes.
So we're gonna get
At
another
least
bite.
someone wanted to do that.
We're gonna get another, we're doing this quickly, which is okay, because
Yeah.
we'll get another bite at it.
Yeah.
After,
Yeah,
it's like, you don't deliberate from the podium. is what
well,
we used to say.
hopefully there isn't much we have to change, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty solid doc.
Exactly. Okay, so we're moving on to conduct of members.
Yeah, and I would
It's
just
core
take
value.
out that second paragraph, because we don't do that.
You're right, that's gone, because that's not done by us, that's done by the board. right?
Yeah.
However, could this committee take a vote and then it's non-binding vote and say, look, we feel this way about a particular committee member, should that ever happen? And pass it on to the board as that's my question.
Yeah, I think that is a thought.
Yeah,
I don't think it needs to be in the bylaws, though. I think we could just do that if we were in an.
It would just be a
situation.
resolution, we can always make a resolution about anything.
Just a business item.
Right.
Yeah.
what do you do with a majority or supermajority? You know, it all,
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking. You know, because we don't wanna get in a point where it's just personalities fighting each other. It has to be for a legitimate reason that someone's passed.
Yeah, but I mean, how many commissions have you guys been on? Have you ever seen one where?
No,
I understand your
Ray,
point.
you
I mean,
understand where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that supermajority seems to be good philosophy. I would think that if you didn't have a supermajority, you would never even get there.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
So to the idea that you just say, look, if things become really problematic, you can make a resolution for the board for consideration. Wouldn't that alone be enough to be raising some big ass red flags?
Probably.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we wanna be non-controversial if anything comes up, or this committee wants to be non-controversial in that way. It doesn't wanna throw up a lot of dust. Or
Yeah,
need
Unless
to.
necessary, right?
Yeah. it just detracts from the mission.
Because I mean, really theoretically, the way that would have to happen, because you can't have a little powwow because you broke ground, right? So
Yeah,
somebody would have to put it on the agenda or make a statement, I want to have this as an agenda item, and then you have the discussion and off you go.
yeah, so we just delete number 8 completely.
Is that where we're headed?
If this was an office, we'd be going manager would be going directly to the person and saying, show up or don't.
Right.
And whose responsibility, Mark, would it be to go to the person who's not showing up and just say,
You have
are
a,
you
yeah,
interested or be gone?
you have, we,
Yeah, I mean, it's.
we're making a commitment to be here is the point.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
mean,
I think it's a team
chair
approach.
and or the.
I think it's a team approach between the executive officer and the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we had some really minor things when I was chair and kind of fell under the radar of the rest of this committee, but Mark and I talked about it. They got resolved.
Good, fine,
You know,
that's great.
but I don't know if, because the way our bylaws are written, if people feel comfortable, other than facilitating the meetings, whether they want to get into dispute resolution if they're in that position.
yeah.
Well, depends on who's asking you. If there's a problem, it's gotta be fixed.
And hopefully it really wouldn't be dispute resolution.
Right,
Turn into that?
right.
So it's about-
We don't want that, we don't wanna build dispute into this, let's put it that way.
Yeah, no. So where are we? What are we doing?
It sounds like we're deleting the second paragraph
Makes
in Article 5.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Back to meetings and minutes. Couple of things. First off, I do like the idea of addressing the idea of action meetings, action minutes, right?
And then we kind of came full circle on that.
Did we have?
Yeah.
People wanted more detail at one point, I think those people we no longer serve.
Yeah, everyone's moving towards action minutes because everything's recorded now and it takes so much staff time. We did this in the Valley years ago.
That's how it was, but there was feeling that there wasn't enough detail.
Well, but you had the pandemic, I mean, nobody was being, the meetings weren't video before that.
Are they being videoed, Mark?
Our first ones, but we didn't know what we're doing in
Yeah, all-
COVID anyway. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, you could always put a timestamp on in your minutes and just.
Well,
say,
that's one thing that I would like to see in addition to them just being action minutes. If somebody has to watch them, they might as well say, item number so-and-so, and put the time that it occurs
Mhm.
in the minutes, so that if you want to check on what somebody said on one particular item, you know where to go. You don't have to go through.
Yeah, that's
2
interesting. I mean, the way it
hours.
works at the city council level is that you have an agenda and when you click on the agenda, it'll take you right to that spot
Right,
of the 4-hour exciting video, which I guess is your point. So we
Yeah.
don't do it that way here, do we?
Can we do it?
We need to, that's done within our Granicus. Granicus is the
Yeah,
software.
Granicus works for us too. That's how
Right.
it works. Yeah.
Except right now, we don't, for none of our meetings, do we have Granicus managing our videos. So, but I believe this would be beneficial for all of our meetings, that we could move our videos over into Granicus and index based on the agenda item. So that's something we can explore as staff.
Marin Water does it that way, so you have,
Yeah, County of Marin does it too.
City does,
A
yeah.
lot of people do it. It's just one of those items that I've had in my mind and just haven't pulled the trigger on.
Okay,
That
so
would-
we're
that would be
we're
great,
gonna stay with an
because-
action minute language.
well, can I
and-
draw our attention to paragraph 2?
Yeah, I
Regular
was about
meetings
to
shall
do
be
that.
monthly.
Monthly.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the regular meeting is monthly, but you don't have to have it. You want to keep it on the calendar so you don't have to call special meetings.
Oh, good point.
Oh,
Exactly.
So just leave
So
it.
can we say,
No, just leave it. There's
Just
no
leave it?
reason to change it to anything else unless you have a more frequent cadence.
so doesn't it mean we're in violation of the bylaws if we
No.
don't have a regular meeting?
No,
It doesn't say
it's
must be.
canceled.
It says shall be. I think that makes a difference.
It's not, it's a vote of the
We can say
full
maybe.
committee, yeah.
Can't you just put as needed?
It's
Why don't you
just-
ask the attorney that? That just
I'll-
seems like that's a total
Yeah,
attorney question.
that's thank you,
That's-
exactly.
Right,
Or
right.
as needed.
No attorneys left in here?
That's why we're moving so quickly through this.
And then, but the idea of saying regular meetings shall be monthly at least captures a date on everybody's
Yeah.
calendar that they
Yeah.
can aim at, and then you cancel, because that's the direction we went with the board and the exec. We have a goal of decrease over the last year or two. We had a goal of decreasing the board and the exec meetings by 25%. And the thought was, though, along exactly those same lines, let's keep them on the calendar,
Okay.
then cancel as needed,
Right.
so that it's easier to cancel a date than add a date.
What
How
if we
about-
add in scheduled before monthly?
How about, I like that, but how about at the end saying, until such time as the report's issued? Until our CRC report is issued, because once our report is issued, well, I guess we may want to have a meeting before the start of the next year, so I retract that.
It's pretty simple, you know, Mark pointed out. it's-
I'll connect with Megan to see if the way it currently is written, if we're violating the bylaws. If it's not violating the bylaws, to cancel.
Just leave it.
Then
And-
just leave it.
And just leave it. And then, because what we also do as well is that, as you may have noticed, when we cancel a meeting, Martina sends out a cancellation notice to those people who have enrolled for
Right.
meeting notifications. So Citizen XYZ has enrolled for COC meeting notifications.
Thousands of them.
We've had people comment that we canceled a COC meeting. And so they're on the distribution list. So I think we're in line, but let me double check with Megan.
Cool.
Yeah, because we generally, when we conclude that we don't need a meeting next month, we make an action at the current meeting, right? Is that on our agenda, right? No, it's
We
not
haven't
actually,
actually
no.
done that all the time.
Yeah.
No, we just pull out our calendars and say, oh, next meeting.
Okay. Okay, so you'll come back to
Yes,
this.
I will.
Okay.
Third paragraph.
And here's where, this is something I have had a quick conversation with Megan about, that minutes aren't bound, the Brown Act actually doesn't require minutes. We are doing it because of the bylaws and because it's good government practice. And I wonder if putting action minutes, the term action minutes in your bylaws will actually make you less nimble. Because let's say you want to change again, I think keeping it generic as minutes allows you guys as
Yeah.
a committee just say, you know what, we want to go with action minutes from now on. And it doesn't, since it's not a Brown Act required item, it really doesn't it requires consensus rather than a vote.
Okay,
So leave it as is,
leave it as is and.
sort it out.
Without
And then we just direct
specifying.
Tony, hi Tony, to create action minutes.
All right, third paragraph.
Okay.
Now that we haven't met in a couple months, we may want to change that 30-day thing on the minutes to just
I
read,
noticed that too.
Yeah.
you know, at
Yeah.
the same time as the agenda goes out for the next meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Good, yeah, for the meeting, agenda for the meeting, right?
Oh, good point.
We see it for the first time, it's always slightly embarrassing to me because it's on the board, information items. And we haven't seen it yet at that point.
Mhm.
So we have not made any corrections, so it can say anything.
At least the action minutes will be,
Yeah, action minutes will be much
and then,
quicker.
and rather than 30 days, I said we'll change that to when the posting at the next agenda.
Right.
Exactly. Officers?
We don't elect a chair. The chair steps in. The vice chair steps in. We only elect a vice
That's
chair.
true.
That is true.
Well, technically, that depends. I've had vice chairs in other roles that weren't eligible to become chairs and they still wanted to be the vice chair. So there's this like little code of how things happen, you know? And then when the time comes time for an election, unless you're in Sausalito or Fairfax, it just kind of,
Oh, no.
it's a joke, it's a joke.
But to Larry's,
For those of us who've been reading the idea.
Anyway,
But to Larry's point, the third paragraph, or the third sentence is the vice chair shall succeed the chair at the end of the chair's
Yeah,
6-month
we
term.
gotta
So,
fix one.
so do you want to say, how do you want to
Why don't you-
reconcile that?
I would just say
I
elect the
would
chair and the
take out
vice chair.
I would take out the second one.
Right.
And just
Okay.
have this understanding that this group
Right.
always, because it's such a short time.
Committee shall elect
window.
the chair and the vice chair.
Well, that was gonna be my
leave
question,
the term
is
if
whether we
language.
want to go to a year rather
Oh.
than having 6-month terms. But I don't know what the feeling of the group is, I don't care. one way
Let's
or
ask
the
our
other.
chair.
Well, I have to say, I'm only doing 3 meetings, I mean,
Yeah.
which seems kind of silly, because by the time you figure out what's going on, see it. One logic might be for each cycle of the reporting period, you know what I'm saying? So like, you start when you start the exercise for the audit or the COC report, and then when that's done, then you hand it off to the next person who will take that thing from beginning to end. So instead of you break it in midpoints that are halfway through one and not another, that seems
Except
like
that,
a logical, because hopefully, let's be realistic with it, hopefully, it could only take 4 months to do this, right? 5 months, you
Still
know?
dreaming, but that's all right.
Yeah, but now,
Keep
I
going.
mean, look, you know,
Yeah.
so that
We'll get
means
it one
that,
of these years, right?
so that means that the chair, instead of going July through December,
Right.
would go July through July, June.
It would depend, I mean, if this thing is done by April, then you'd be done, so there'd be one chair for each audit period.
It sounds a little bit messy.
Yeah,
And it also means that you'd have to really watch who's gonna roll off when. Cause you might roll off before the report's out.
Well, we have to watch that now too.
Yeah. There's too much to watch for.
We,
I'm gonna be gone, I don't care.
Well, you could just make an annual and be that, right, just make it annual. So, although you have 5 more people coming on, so how many people will be still around next cycle?
I can't remember who goes off when and who comes on when.
Would it be helpful in the bylaws under membership if we put what batches of people are together?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
that.
and you can just do it by title, you don't have to do.
Right, by position.
You can say San Rafael, as opposed
I'm
to,
off after
So
this.
one reason the 6 months makes
Send them
sense
next
is
Yeah.
because the term is 3 years and it just, it shares the responsibility. But I do think you're right, it doesn't give you time to figure out how to say that thing you have to say about public.
Right, right.
By the time you figure that out.
yeah.
You're up, yeah, right.
Figure out how to read that thing.
and
I don't care one way or the other, I just raise the question.
And I think the only reason that we did it in the beginning was we thought everybody would wanna get a chance at it, instead of only 3,
Right.
Yeah,
we got 3 shots and then
yeah,
that's
and
it.
I'm in another commission where the senior person is the same person until they leave. So, and one of the things, I'm the same person for 15 years, so it's just like,
Well, we can
whatever,
just
yeah.
leave it at 6 months and
Oh, no, I'm not saying a year is fine, I think that's a reasonable,
I think
whatever you guys all say.
it sounds like there's listening to you guys, it sounds like there's consensus to a year term,
Yeah, when is this?
but
Just when.
starting and ending is where I'm hearing the struggle.
well, you can make it simple, July, because then, that gives you an encouragement to get the damn report out by July.
Well,
So
I would
fiscal year,
hope that we
following
would
fiscal
get the
year.
report out long before July.
Obviously, I agree.
And so if you're using the time frame that you guys have set, which seems reasonable to me, your term started in July,
Mhm.
and you guys are saying you're gonna have documents to review by January. So that makes it really easy, it seems, that you would be able to publish by June 30.
Mhm.
Therefore,
I hope we'll be able to.
July 1
publish
tends
to make
by
sense.
March.
I
Yeah.
agree, all right.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
then we're gonna cancel the next 3 meetings because you don't really need to meet again until you're ready to launch the subsequent exam, right? So,
So we're
So,
gonna
so
go-
how did that end up?
July 1 to June
For the
30th.
fiscal year.
Okay,
Then what do we do about him?
do what you want.
I mean, now that we've removed the part where the vice chair automatically comes in at 6 months, you can vote to see if you want him to continue through the rest of this review cycle.
Problem is Jenny's
Okay.
not here. Jenny's our vice chair.
So we grandfather him in, so to speak.
Grandfather, that's a term that works well with me. 3 times
Yeah,
now.
right.
So the committee shall elect a chair and a vice chair. These officers shall serve a 1-year term beginning July 1. And do we want to say it is preferred that the vice chair succeed the chair, or just leave it silent?
I would leave it silent.
Okay.
It's just simple.
Because the vice chair has the role of presiding if the chair's not
Mhm.
there.
Correct.
And is staff gonna be doing the math? To tell us, are you gonna be doing the math to tell us who can really be the vice chair and still make it into chair and not?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Somebody can be the vice chair and have their term in, because I was vice mayor in 2019,
Right.
when we met in December,
Yeah.
I was retired.
Right, Gary Lyon.
Yeah,
So they had to elect 2 positions.
Right.
I keep track.
We'll figure it out, right?
And it'll be a little bit, the bylaws will now have the pairings as well. So that'll help with there for everybody.
the bylaws will have,
The pairings, which 3
Oh, parents.
which 3
I
groups?
thought parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pairings for all of their triplings. Think about that. Actually, each group will have 4 because the high school student is every year. I'll put an asterisk next to
I
it.
would like to add, right now it says the duties of the chair shall be to preside at meetings. I think we need to have the chair have the power to create or put people on committees. Because we've had a circumstance, you could have a circumstance where between meetings, you need to create a committee or you need to appoint somebody to a committee. And right now, only the group as a whole can do that.
So, I don't understand, why would you, that's what the next thing says under subcommittees, right? We collectively choose our sub, the way it's always worked, it's just, I've never, ever, anywhere had an experience where there's not any, anything but a collegial determination. So I've never had the mayor, theoretically, the mayor usually sets the subcommittees in city government, but I've never, it's just usually like, who's one, right? And it's always very collegial. So I'm ambivalent as to whether the chair sets, I would, whether the chair sets the thing or it's done collectively. I don't see an issue where between meetings, a subcommittee would need to be created. Because then if there was such a big problem, you'd probably have a special meeting anyway, right? I mean, that's kind of my reaction.
So like, what are you guys gonna do about your core subcommittee?
You got me, I'm gonna talk with him, I'm gonna talk with him.
So that's gonna
And he and I are
happen,
gonna true up on what we got and what's missing.
that's gonna happen in between meetings.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and
Well, thing is,
when Pat was the chair, my observation from staff was going to be that you guys have been handcuffed a couple of times previously by the chair not being able to create subcommittees, and that we've had to delay some work and wait for the next meeting to create or amend a subcommittee. So from an efficiency point, from staff's recommendation is that and the board does it this way, that the president of the board can create subcommittees without the board's approval. Efficiency wise, and I think the level of trust of the group has gotten to the point where that's what I recommend.
Well, I recommended just an outstanding example, because right now we have to deal with this question of what's gonna happen with this delegate being gone. And you're right, we can't form any, I agree with you. So I was more along the lines of who cares, but maybe I think the chair should be,
Maybe care.
yeah,
I
maybe the
think
chair
the
should.
chair
yeah,
should
yeah,
have,
right.
because I
Very
know
common.
it came up when I was chair.
Okay,
And
well, the
It
other
was a-
practical solution is Kingston, as the chair of the subcommittee, can just go to, say, Ginny, for example, and say, can you help us with this? And, no, you're already on a committee, but, and if she says yes, we just continue to do the work.
As long as we're not violent, there's no brown eye fireworks, that's my concern. I mean, we got 1, 2,
Yeah, well, you gotta, yeah, can't have more than 3.
Yeah.
No, 4.
right,
Four.
I'm gonna talk to you and that's about it,
Yeah,
until we get somebody new in.
okay, well, we're really getting into the,
We,
you know,
So-
the head of the pin there, so why don't we just go with the chair can sort of that?
So the duties of the chair shall be to preside over meetings and then create subcommittees.
Yeah. Simple.
What about, the committees to observe the board and the executive committee and operations, is that covered by that?
I think so.
I think so.
Which one am I on, by the way? So-
I know I'm on one of the fun.
If we,
Sorry.
so we make that as the duty of the chair, and then under subcommittees, we'll just change the language and say as appointed by the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we are, ATC isn't a public. Sorry, it just dawned on me that I don't have to go to the ATC.
Right,
meetings
exactly.
anymore.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're not allowed
Those
in.
people who are assigned to the ATC will have to,
Well, you should go to the operations committee meeting.
I
Yeah.
probably should, but
anyway,
When's the
continue.
first operations committee meeting?
December 10th. No, December 12th.
12.
December 12th.
Okay, so for conduct of business in the third line, I noticed that there was an awkward phrase there. It says a majority of the quorum, which means 5 people. Okay, so it should be a majority of those present.
Got it.
Every meeting committee and member shall set the tentative agenda.
And I think we just need to eliminate the last
Yeah,
clause.
right. Because we don't set the agenda for the subsequent meeting, that usually is figured out by
I'm sorry, where are you now? And
Well,
conduct of business, the last paragraph, at
Okay,
every
so-
meeting, the committee members shall set the attendance agenda for the following meeting.
and then I was really talking about the one before, any action to remove members from office requires 6 of
Oh, yeah,
9.
that's
And-
good,
yeah,
let's
that's
do
out.
these one at a time.
Yeah.
So let's do yours first, because it's easy, so we agree
Yeah.
that one's out, right?
And then
that's out.
And what I'll put is any action to amend these bylaws requires a majority vote of the full committee, period.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good.
You just mentioned setting the agenda. Shouldn't that be part of the board chair's duties as well?
We have been, practice has been that any member can request an agenda item and then staff, Martina and I coordinate with the chair to
Yeah.
organize that.
Right. So in practice, the chair has been setting agenda, not solely setting the
Solely.
agenda.
And then when these bylaws were originally written, there was concern about the chair being able to shortstop somebody's
Yeah.
desire to put an agenda item on. And so that was why that agenda setting wasn't put on with the chair. And anyone can ask for an agenda item.
Well, I think we should specifically say that any member can ask for an agenda item to be added to the subsequent agenda. Right?
Parenthetically.
Unless it's 3 people.
With the Fairfax
Fairfax Town Council.
You know, after an emergency
Just-
meeting, an emergency meeting was.
They're gonna recall her, just feel it.
So under the chair, I'll say coordinates with,
What?
under chair, to get us back on track, under the officers article, I'll put that the chair coordinates the agenda with staff with a parenthetical, any committee member could ask for a.
Yes,
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
please, thank you.
Okay, severability is legal stuff. Okay,
Let me get my notes down real quick, please.
okay, sure.
Enough.
I think we've done it.
Did we put
See,
How dark is it outside? Did you get
It's,
that?
I've been watching it. I had to leave at 4:15 and it's 4:05.
I still see
Okay.
the sunshine.
Yeah, no,
Alright.
well, I have to be home by dark.
Okay,
It's not that I have to leave here and get on that freeway by dark.
okay, so attempting to help you hit your 410 number, committee members' requests regarding future agenda items.
So I think that last bullet, or that last item, every meeting, the committee members shall set the tentative agenda for the following meeting. I think we can delete that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Since we put under duties of the chair,
Right,
coordinate with staff for agenda. Any member can request an item.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Perfect, right.
And so that means we can delete this item
Yeah.
right there. Okay,
Bam.
got it. Then, do you guys see anything in the last two?
That's what they're going.
No.
No.
You need a goat though.
Do you know what I see? Only I would see this. For some reason, the spacing is different. Changed.
Oh, yeah.
That's odd.
At least the font didn't change.
Right. That's very funny.
Keeping notes too. Between two
It's
of us, we'll
just
get
that
it.
Article
Yeah.
10.
It's
Article
Times
Yeah.
11 is
Times
okay.
Roman, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like, we just dumped it in.
yeah, it looks like Times Roman, and
Yeah.
Times Roman is the one that I have the hardest time reading.
So, next step is, between Martina and I, we will put these on to make all these changes and then bring it to you guys for a vote next time.
Sounds good.
All right.
Next item is committee members' requests regarding future agenda items. Are there any requests regarding future agenda items?
Lots of help for me. I know, go ahead.
Where'd you get that?
Oh, you weren't here for the beginning of this thing.
Let me
I was
get
making a
Jennifer,
joke.
we
It
didn't get
took me
one of
3
those.
meetings to
We
remember
never
this.
had one of
No,
those.
this is.
Wait,
I was just
I
joking.
just wanted to
about
say thank you publicly, Mark, for doing all this stuff with us and being more than usually staff involved.
And also, shouldn't we give Larry a round of applause? This is
Oh.
his last official meeting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Pleasure working with everyone. And
You
as
said
I
it,
said,
done
as
it.
I said to my council when I retired, don't do something to make me come back.
Again, it's a joke.
No comment until the
Yeah.
recording's off.
And
Why don't we
have people
stop
applying for the
recording?
roles and that's all going okay?
I'd like to suggest that we stop recording so that.
it.
All right, meeting's closed.
And we have our MCL party at